Welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us as we kick off a brand new whoop. Hey, something's going wrong there.
Uh-oh, are you playing extra commercials when you didn't need to?
No, it wasn't a commercial. It was I was trying to move the cursor off the open, and the open started over.
Oh, the old touch screen. So, yeah.
Fortunately, the commercials didn't play. Save those. Save the commercials.
Woo. Close.
That's where you really get in trouble if you misfire there. So, yeah. How was your weekend?
Always too short, but good. I mean, no complaints. It was, it wasn't bad. I, capped off my Sunday with watching a little women's basketball, which was not what I anticipated when I turned on the old radio dial, because I was like, it was the middle of the third quarter when I turned it on. And, I'm waiting for a score, and you're real good about giving the score. So I hear, and that brings the total to only up by 10. And I'm like, oh, well, they're only down by 10. So that's not too bad. And then I realized you're trying to tell me that Notre Dame is up by 10, which it's not what I anticipated when I, turned on the radio and obviously listened the entire way through. They battled for that one, man, but they earned it. There's no doubt about that.
Big time. It was a big win. And we, it was obviously at Louisville. And we're going to talk more specifically about this coming up in a little bit. We're going to talk about Jeremiyah Love's NFL Combine off the top of the show. But yeah, I mean, I
didn't mean to jump the gun, but
that's all right. Wife and daughter, we drove down Saturday separate from the team. So they came, went to the game, did some dinner and breakfast and stuff like that in Louisville, and then drove back last night. So, everybody had a good time. And, the Louisville fans were actually somewhat, it didn't sound like they were nasty to Notre Dame fans.
Well, that's good.
So
I would hope not.
Felt like there was a chance that they might be, but that didn't happen. But Hannah Hidalgo got her 7th ACC Player of the Week award today.
And everybody else has one
in a single season for Notre Dame women's, or not for a Notre Dame women's basketball, for any women's basketball player in the ACC.
Yeah.
Do with that what you will. We're going to dig into that more specifically about what it all means for the Notre Dame women. They're sitting in really good shape, the number 5 seed going into the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
And their first game will be Thursday. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Hannah Hidalgo, Player of the Year, and all that good stuff coming up here in just a little bit in our second segment of the show. But NFL Draft Combine has come and gone, and Jeremiyah Love kind of ended up being one of the real bullet points of the weekend, it felt like, Vince.
Look, I was very adamant that he should just go and interview and that's it, and cheer on his boys and whatever. I am man enough to admit that I was wrong, because not only did he go down there and do pretty much what I anticipated he would do. I mean, he's a freak athlete. We all know this. But he allowed kind of the football world to fall in love with him as a person and as an athlete. And, when the weekend started, he was, 8 or 9, the Saints or the Chiefs. And now I'm hearing a lot of people saying Cardinals at number 3. So, he helped himself. I don't know how it happened. I
know. Shocked. I mean, I suppose of some of the other options, I would rather see him go to either Arizona or Tennessee. I don't know about his, for his personal future, what either one of those teams would mean for him. But, like from a personal standpoint, in terms of teams that don't play my team very often and that kind of thing, I would kind of rather go that route. But
obviously we get Colts games, we get Bears games. Those two teams are completely out of the running for Jeremiyah Love unless a trade is made. I would have just liked to see him go to a team of that I could watch more often. And we don't get a lot of Arizona Cardinal games, here in Northern Indiana. If you don't have NFL ticket, that kind of a thing. We don't get a lot of West Coast games. And the Arizona Cardinals just aren't enough of a draw to get like the Sunday night game or the Monday night game, things like that. So I just want to go to a team where I can actually watch him play. That's all I care about.
Yeah, that actually, and like the Saints are one of the teams that he's been talked about. I don't feel like I feel like where they are as an organization, they've got a ways to go to climb back up. Now he would definitely help, but I think that any of those, we've talked about this before. Any of the teams drafting at the top of the draft have some big questions. The exception being Kansas City. After all the Super Bowls, we'll see if it's a one-off year, but at least for now, it's a one-off year, and they're picking at number 9. Feels like it's going to be a stretch for him to get to the Chiefs, though. At this
I think
point,
so. Yeah, I think so.
Buzz.
I think they're going to have to make a move if they really want him. They're going to have to make a move to go up. I just don't think that he's going to fall to 9 at this point. He created some serious buzz for himself, and so mea culpa on that one. My bad. I didn't think that was possible. He was already projected as a top 10 pick, and now he's the talk of the combine and now the talk of the draft.
He is. A lot of love for Jeremiyah Love. Here's NFL draft analyst Jordan Reed talking about him on ESPN.
Impressive was Jeremiyah Love's overall combine performance?
Well, Randy, there were teams that fell deeper in love with Jeremiyah Love yesterday, and while he was going through drills, there was a collective silence that was quickly met with oohs and ahs as he was going through drills. I believe he solidified himself as a top 10 pick. As far as likely landing spots, I look at Washington at number 7 overall. Pairing him with Jaden Daniels, I think that would be a terrific fit. Number 8 to New Orleans, I think, is a very ideal fit as well as they build it around Tyler Shuck. Alvin Kamara is going to be 31 years old and entering the final year of his contract. And then at number 9, the NFL better not let him land in Kansas City with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I think that would be a terrific fit. So look for Jeremiyah Love to go inside the top 10.
Is it starting to feel like 9 might be the floor for him in terms of Kansas City?
Yeah, it definitely is feeling that way. And I mean, it's one of the best workouts that I saw, Randy. He was absolutely terrific. The footwork, just the quick cuts that he was able to do, and then the route running portion, that's another area that I think is really underrated about him and why I believe he's the best player in this year's draft.
And I mean, like you listen to all that stuff again, a lot of great buzz for Jeremiyah Love, and it just feels like he set himself up. We talked about it going into the weekend, and you touched on it. It felt like there was no place to go but down, but his stock just went up with everything that he did. It was like everything he touched this weekend turned to gold, Vince. And I think you're right. Like those comments there at the end, I think it's going to be a real stretch for Jeremiyah Love to go at number 9, because virtually everyone, with the exception of the Raiders at number 1, feels like their team has been mentioned now in connection as a possibility for Jeremiyah Love. I think he's in play basically for anybody, probably but the Raiders. Yeah, especially after they took Ashton Jeanty high last year.
And that's the only reason that he's not in play for the Raiders, because if they didn't have Ashton Jeanty in the backfield, which, by the way, there's a ton of people out there saying that Jeremiyah Love is better than Ashton Jeanty because he catches the ball out of the backfield better.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he's out of play. Like, if they didn't have Jeanty, I think it's a 50-50 toss-up as to what the Raiders are going to do. And let's be honest, there's still like a 10% chance that the Raiders take Jeremiyah Love. Like, could you not see the Raiders being the Raiders and just
they took tight ends 2 years in a row. They took Michael Mayer 1 year and Brock Bowers the next.
Like I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Obviously, the smart money is on Mendoza at number 1. But if you're just looking at best players in the draft, I've seen a lot of those, and a lot of those don't even have Mendoza in the top 5, but he is a quarterback, and obviously they need a quarterback out in Vegas. But look, I think he's in play 1 through 9, and if he gets to 9, there is 0 chance he gets to 10. Like, that is by far the absolute floor.
Yeah,
no chance.
Chiefs aren't letting him go.
Oh my God!
Like that is a golden goose for the Kansas City Chiefs, because they need some fresh legs. They need some fresh energy on the offensive side of the ball. They've got to give Patrick Mahomes some skill position players, and he obviously would bring them a lot of skill and a lot of versatility in that Andy Reid offense. Like, I don't know what all the Saints draft cap, or I was looking at the chat when I saw the Chiefs draft capital looks like, but I would think long and hard if you're the Kansas City Chiefs about potentially moving up with somebody. I mean, and that could be a draft night deal for something like that to happen.
I think, there hasn't been a lot of activity in the draft so far, especially up at the top, top 10, things like that.
Mhm.
I think with the performance that Jeremiyah Love put in, I think now everything's on the table. I think you could very well see a team jump into the top 5-ish to get themselves Jeremiyah Love because they're seeing how talented he is, what he could do for an offense, obviously carrying the football, but also catching the football, splitting him out, doing all the different things. Like I just think that he's a generational weapon where you can get away with making some moves and moving up and being able to explain that to your fan base. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I really do. I think there could be some movement.
USMA 87 asks if Love is off the board, would they take Price at number 9? I just
That's a
feel
little
like
high.
that's a little steep for Jadarian Price, as good as he is. He's just not quite the same as Jeremiyah Love in terms of the overall package and thing. One
Yeah.
from the speed, and he's still a pretty good catcher of the football, but he's not Jeremiah Love in terms of both the ability to catch and the route running as well.
Where I could very well see Jadarian Price go 17. And I know that's a little high probably for him. But the Detroit Lions just dealt
David
Montgomery.
Yeah.
They just dealt David Montgomery. And David Montgomery is Jadarian Price as far as like build and all of those things. And it would be great to take a guy like that on a rookie salary. You just got rid of David Montgomery, who I think was on his second contract. Jadarian Price can do anything that David Montgomery can do. And I'm very confident in that. I could see that happening.
And I think the higher Love goes, the greater chance that
Sure.
Price maybe does slide up since he is considered everybody's RB2. So.
And like I said, 17 could be high, but I just feel like with the Lions parting ways with somebody who's very similar to Jadarian Price, I could see that happening. Or maybe they even trade down a little bit and then still take him. I could see that being the case.
Yeah. I think
We'll
there's a wealth of possibilities out there. Love, after his big workout on Saturday, talked with Stacey Dales from the NFL Network, and we talk about his receiving skills. He didn't just do the running back workouts. Both he and Price ran some extra routes with the receivers as well. And Stacey Dales asked Jeremiyah Love about that. Like, why do the extra work? Because it's optional. You don't have to do it.
All the drills, you run the 40, Jeremiah, and then you do extra when teams request players to do positional work outside of their actual position. You can choose to or not to. Why did you?
Just want to showcase everything. I'm not only a great running back, but I'm a great receiver as well. So just want to showcase that ability, and then I get to run a little bit. In the backfield, I don't get to open up like that. So when I get out wide and get a little bit of space, I get to showcase my speed a little bit.
He looked pretty sharp in most of the routes that I saw him running, and I just think it's funny. It's like, I just wanted to showcase myself, like he was obviously very confident in what he was going to do this weekend, and hats off to him because a lot of guys, again, maybe like you want it too much, you end up pushing yourself and you fall short, but he fell short of nothing that I saw, Vince.
It's like recess for Jeremiyah Love. He's just out there running around like, okay, I'm going to go play with the boys over here for a little while. Then I'm going to go play soccer over here. And then I'm going to shoot some hoops over here with this group. Like, he's just out there. Like, Lucas Oil Stadium was his playground on Saturday. That's what it felt like, or whatever. I think it was Saturday. Like that's what it felt like. He's like, oh, you want me to run some routes? Okay, cool. You want me to run some running back drills? Oh, all right, cool. You want me to run a 4-3-6? All right, cool. Like, he's just out there having a good time, man. It didn't even break a sweat.
So we've talked about where he might go. Stacey Dales asked Love where he thinks he might go.
I don't know. Maybe top 10, top 5, hopefully.
And you're going to get
a lot of people saying the Chiefs or the Saints or the Giants. All I got to say is I'll be blessed to go anywhere.
I mean, it's kind of hard to draft yourself. Asking him where he's going to go.
What's he supposed to say? You know? Like,
exactly.
Somebody asked him specifically, I think, in a press conference about going to, to Dallas. And he's like, hey, it'd be great to have a star on my helmet, but it'd also be great to be anywhere in the NFL. I'm sure when he's having conversations with his family or his agent, he's like, well, this is where I'd like to go, but that's not how it works. You know what I mean? You're not John Elway. You don't get to dictate. You're not Eli Manning. You don't get to dictate, where you go. And so he'll go wherever he's asked to go, and he'll do what he does. And I like I said, I just hope he goes to a team that I get to watch every now and again without having to buy the NFL Sunday ticket. Like that's my hope. It would be great as a Notre Dame fan if he ends up going in the top 5. Like that would be awesome. And, to root him on and things like that. But as I'm, looking at the top 5 right now, what top 5 team would I want him to go to? Like Tennessee, New York, Arizona. Like I definitely don't want him to go to the Jets. Like I just don't know where I'd want him to go.
I like how in the YouTube chat right now, everyone keeps throwing out, well, this guy's got him projected here. This guy's got him projected here. I'll just remind you, there are 2 months to go until the draft.
Yeah,
so,
seriously.
Like, not that Jeremiyah Love's stock is going to fall by any means. It's not. There's nothing that's going to make it fall at this point, but there are still 2 months to go. And, like most of the activity in terms of trades and stuff like that are probably going to happen the night of the draft.
Yes.
So, like, that's,
yeah.
I mean, that's honestly, to me, especially from our perspective, but even bigger picture, it's kind of a foregone conclusion that unless the Raiders trade out of number 1 and get some extra picks, they're going to take Fernando Mendoza, but it seems like Tom Brady is in love with Mendoza. So like that feels like as much of a lock as anything. But again, there are 2 months to go, so who knows?
I forgot about the Tom Brady effect. Yeah.
Because of this weekend, I think the two questions are, how high is Jeremiyah Love going to go? And Sonny Styles, the Ohio State linebacker, Lorenzo's brother, had a big weekend himself at the draft. How high are people going to go with an off-ball linebacker? He is not an edge rushing linebacker. He's an off-ball linebacker. How high is he really going to go? Because there's a lot of top 10 talk for him. Like I've heard Washington, for example, they pick at number 7. Yeah. And I've heard both Styles and Jeremiyah Love as potential options for them. So it's like, I don't know. There'll be more feelers that you'll hear. Reporters will talk to different executives with different teams and stuff like that.
Well, don't these guys have to go visit the different teams now too? Like you get X amount of visits and, so that's going to, oh my gosh, so-and-so visited here and so-and-so visited here. And oh my gosh, it wouldn't be the first time that somebody got drafted by a team that they didn't visit, Sean. Like that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
It would, wouldn't it?
Now, are they going to tape the $100 bill to the back of the to the playbook to see if they go through the whole thing?
Ooh, little speaking of Sonny, that was what was Costner's last name? Sonny what in the in draft day?
I just remember him calling him.
His first name was Sonny though, right?
Yeah, no, it was.
Yeah.
I just watched that the other day too. I don't know why that movie is a guilty pleasure. I don't know why. But when it's on, I'm like, oh, draft day. Boop. Anyway.
So I can't find, I don't know what I did with, he talked about his 40 time. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to play that cut. That's why I kind of jumped off there for a second. But he was disappointed.
He was.
He ran a 4.36. And by the way, our predictions last week, Jesse had 4.35. You had 4.37, which he ran in his first run before he improved it. I initially had 4.36, and then at the last second, I changed to 4.38. I bumped it up a little bit, so I can't give myself credit for that.
We all lost, is what that means. I mean, we all lost.
At least he hit one of your numbers. He hit a 4.37 on his first run.
So. That is true. That is true. Sonny Weaver, thank you very much, Sonny Weaver. Go. Yeah. But I mean, that's still pretty. He wanted to be in the 4.2s, which
a little greedy.
That's picking them up and putting them down, obviously, and you got to have a goal. I appreciate that, but a 4.36 is nothing to sneeze at, man. That's especially
at 2.14.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He could have lost weight and run faster.
Yeah, the 4.36 is the exact same time that Jahmyr Gibbs ran, and Gibbs is about 15 pounds lighter than Jeremiyah Love, and he talked about wanting to lose a little bit of weight, with Stacey Dales, and that. And I was like, yeah, do you really want to do that? You're going to the NFL now.
Right. But then he called it his playing weight.
Yeah.
He called it his playing weight. So I don't know.
He did say he was going to go get a chocolate milkshake afterwards.
I love that, by the way. I
Sounded-
think that's great.
Sounded pretty tasty.
Nice reward.
I don't know. What do you think? Would you want him lighter than 214?
No.
I don't think so either.
No.
I think that's the perfect weight for him.
Because I don't want him to be a third down back. You know what I mean? I want him to be a 3-down back. You know, I want him in there 3 downs, whatever team he goes to. He's a 3-down back. If he gets too much smaller, then you start pigeonholing and, oh, well, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a third down guy. He's a change of pace guy. That's not who Jeremiyah Love is, and he shouldn't be. Like, don't pigeonhole yourself. Keep yourself at the weight where you can still hammer it between the tackles.
I mean, Jadarian Price had a pretty good combine himself. I would, it was good, but it wasn't what Love put up. You know, he ran was it a 4.49?
4.49, yep.
That his 40 ended up being, again, very solid time. There's plenty of other NFL backs who have run around the same. We're talking about tenths of a second difference there, basically. And, the more I think about your Montgomery comparison, that's probably pretty good, because if you're getting rid of Montgomery and you've got the smaller, like Jahmyr Gibbs type guy, you need someone who's going to be a little bit more of a thumper type. And I think that Jadarian, like, of all the running backs, I don't know how closely it is the underwear Olympics after all,
right?
But Jadarian Price had a little gun show going there compared to all those other running backs out there. He was rocked up, man.
Well, and I think he got, off the top of my head, 21 reps at 225. Does that sound right? So, I mean, he was pumping those out. Like, by the way, speaking of 21 reps at 225, your son said that he could get 20 reps at 225 right now.
Right now.
What do you think about that?
I don't know. I know he's working out. I have no idea.
That's a lot, right?
I know that he was, like, when he was in college, he was right around that number still. But like right now, I don't know. I haven't seen the beast in action, in person.
He said he repped out 8 in a row, like as he was like, it's a warm up. I'm like, oh my God, dude.
Well, I remember him saying something about he got 14 or 15 at the end of his workout. So
okay. Maybe he could pump out 20, that'd be good for him.
I mean, I was expecting video. I mean, I guess you two guys are doing the show together tomorrow, so maybe video clips from the big workouts.
Just saying. I think we need to have it. Yeah, I think it needs to happen.
Joseph wants the Giants to draft Love. I say, personally, just keep him out of the NFC East. That's
you don't want that.
That's all I'm saying at this point. Just keep him out of the East. I don't want him in Washington. Obviously, don't want him in Philly. That's not going to happen because they're, nowhere in that ballpark where they're drafting.
Well, they're kind of set at running back, I would say.
Yeah. Well, but it is, it's like Saquon Barkley. He's pushing 30 now himself.
No, that's true. He's been around for a little bit.
Yeah. I agree, Swandong. Not the Giants. All right, final comment from Jeremiyah Love. Stacey Dales asked him about Marcus Freeman's choose hard.
I feel like if something's easy, it ain't good for you. I didn't work for everything that I've gotten so far. I came into college. I wasn't looking for money. I wasn't looking for any handouts. I came in, put my head down and worked in. And I just gained all the things I gained, and I feel like I deserve them now. So choose hard, want to work for everything. And once I work for it, I feel like I deserve it then.
All right. What'd you think about that?
I mean, he's humble. I mean, he's been around Marcus Freeman long enough, I think, to take a little bit on what he talks about. You know what I mean? And he's just like, here to work, here to do my thing. And especially this day and age, like, to actually say it with a straight face that it's not about the money. I think Jeremiyah Love can say that. There's not a lot of guys in big time college football that can say it's not about the money.
It's like the Marcus Freeman. It's just especially when these guys like Jeremiyah Love and Jadarian Price and whoever they are, they go to the combine. At some point, CJ Carr is going to be there as well. It's just like a walking billboard for Marcus Freeman and this program when you see guys like these excelling. Because think about it this way: the last time that Notre Dame had a legit top 10 type guy was Kyle Hamilton, And, that was kind of in that, like tail end Brian Kelly start of Marcus Freeman. So obviously recruited before Freeman. So like he was a fringe guy, ended up going 14 overall. And prior to that, it was the two offensive linemen, Nelson and McGlinchey. It's been a heck of a long time since we've heard a Notre Dame running back, like a true skill position guy being talked about as a consensus top 10, potentially going in the, top 5. And he's out there talking about choose hard and everything else. So it's kind of exciting when you think about, just the trajectory this program keeps going on with Marcus Freeman, and you hear guys talking like that.
Well, and obviously you've got a potential for a couple of skill guys and both running backs going in the first round. And then, moving forward, I mean, CJ Carr, and you look at all of the guys that could potentially go in the first round moving forward. Like, it's finally exciting to be a Notre Dame fan while watching the NFL draft. You know what I mean? And watching the first round of the NFL draft. Look, Notre Dame's had guys drafted, obviously, but like you get to sit and watch that.
Eddie mentions Joe Alt, but again, I'm talking about
skill.
I mean, good point for the miss. That's still an offensive lineman. My point was more about Alt obviously did go up there at the top. You're right, but he's an offensive lineman. Again, I'm talking more about skill. The fact that it's been a long time since skill guys went that high.
Right. Yeah, no, it's exciting. It's fun. It's exciting. I'm really like, I always watch the first round, and I usually just watch it as kind of like background. Now it's going to be like, okay, where are the Notre Dame guys going to go? Like that. I just haven't had that for a while.
By the way, did you see all this over the weekend? The offensive linemen did their workouts on Sunday, and there was all this, chatter about, hey, where'd all the media go? Offensive linemen are here, and nobody's watching. It's like,
that's funny.
Rough.
They need to have offensive linemen on day one then, or stick them in the middle if you want media to be there.
Teddy says, so the offensive line has no skill. Do they call them skill position? Do they call them skill position players?
That's not what we said. There's skill, there's big skill, and then there's a lineman. Like, that's just how it goes. Those are the name of the position groups. Doesn't mean somebody doesn't have skill. Come on now.
Swandong asked how Fields did. Malachi Fields, he did okay. I think his, he ran like a 4.61 40. I don't think that's nearly, what he thought it was going to be. And the problem when you run a subprime 40 at the NFL Combine, even if you go to your pro day and you improve it, I just like everyone's at the Combine. All the teams are at the Combine. And, you might have some representation from most teams at your pro day, and the fact that Notre Dame is cranking out more talent, maybe that is good. But it just doesn't feel like, even if you run a couple ticks better at it didn't help Manti Te'o when he ran better at the Notre Dame pro day after he ran didn't have a good 40 at the Combine. It just doesn't feel like you get enough push out of the pro day, out of that spotlight when everyone's in town at the Combine. It feels like that is kind of what sticks in people's mind, what happens down there in Indy.
Yep. No, I agree with that. And he'll have another opportunity at Notre Dame's pro day if he wants to take that opportunity, and I bet after that performance he will. And what does that look like? Who's going to be throwing on the ball? Like all of those things, right? I think that's all going to be important. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised. I know this is way off topic, but I wouldn't be surprised if CJ Carr ends up throwing to these guys at pro day. Either. Because you can do that now. It just takes a quote unquote spring practice. Okay, who cares? Look, if I'm Malachi Fields, I'm like, hey, can we have CJ throw us the ball? Like that would be great.
Very great. Bitten by the party animal in the YouTube chat with some shots for Jesse. Have you heard his excuses from Pee Wee basketball? Jesse won't make it past 15 without 3 excuses as to why he would make it to 20.
Wow, shots fired.
Man, big shots. They won their game Saturday, by the way, against that Grinders team that, like the travel team and all that. And apparently they had a pretty sizable lead. And there is a rule in this league that you're not allowed to full court press until there's like X amount of time left in the game and you're trailing by X amount or something like that. And so they were leading. The other team's coach started the full court press like 4 or 5 minutes too soon.
Ooh,
So Jesse called a timeout and talked to the ref and was like, hey,
can't
you
do
gotta
it.
call him on that. They can't press. And so they made him call off the press. And I guess they made a little rally and they ended up winning by 5 or 6 points or something like that. So he was
Oh.
pretty happy. Had a good weekend.
Jesse's calling the ref to call
Yeah.
him on the rules. I bet that ticked him off. That's awesome.
Styersberry. Speaking of basketball, we're going to get into some both men's and women's conversation. Huge day yesterday for Hannah Hidalgo, Niele Ivey, and the Fighting Irish women's basketball team down in Louisville, and pretty nice day Saturday for Micah Shrewsbury and his guys at home against NC State. We'll get into that next when we continue with Vince D'Addario, Sean Steyers, Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com.
Roberts with the basketball. Hidalgo shadowing her. Hidalgo with a steal. She checks the clock. Hannah Hidalgo races outside. Hannah Hidalgo still running, and she draws the foul with 10.5 seconds remaining.
Big day yesterday for Notre Dame women's basketball, and I'd say another day at the office for Hannah Hidalgo, but yesterday had a little bit different feel to it, and that was the steal that she had at the end of the game that almost sealed things up. Things got a little bit dicey when Notre Dame was trying to inbound after Louisville fouled there at the end, but the Irish end up beating the 11th-ranked Cardinals 65-62 yesterday in Louisville. Joseph says possibly Coach Ivey's biggest regular season road win yet. They did win at UConn and at USC. They won at UConn 2 years ago. They won at USC last year. In terms of maybe significance, like overall significance, especially this late in the season, I think it's right up there. I'd put it at least top 4, top 5 probably.
Well, and I think those other games against UConn and USC, Notre Dame had a better on paper team at the time, and I think it was expected to be kind of not a shootout, but like a best on best kind of a situation, let the best man win kind of a deal. And then this one, I didn't look at the spread or anything like that, but Notre Dame shouldn't have won this game on paper. They should not have won this game. It was at Louisville. Louisville is a top 10 team. They got a really good player, obviously, who is back from injury, second game back. Notre Dame's not supposed to win that game, and they did. I think that part of the narrative makes it a big win for Notre Dame, obviously, and obviously for Coach Ivey as well. But that they weren't supposed to win this game. And if you ask anybody, I'm sure,
like you said, on paper, yeah,
absolutely.
And I mean, it was a little bit, who knew going in, that kind of thing. And after the first quarter, I was like, I don't know, again, you said you tuned in late. It was 12-7 Louisville at the end of the first quarter. 12-7.
Low scoring.
Yes, very low scoring. The one positive that you could point to from Notre Dame is, okay, well, only 12 points allowed, good defense, but only 7 points scored. And then all of a sudden, here comes the second quarter. Hidalgo herself went on an 8-0 run in the second quarter, and then they went on another 8-0 run later, but Vanessa De Jesus started raining down three-pointers in the second quarter. She had 4 in the first half. Ayanna Moore had a couple three-pointers as well. And I mean, obviously, that's where it became obvious that Notre Dame was in this game and had a legit chance to win when they scored 29 points in the second quarter after scoring just 7 in the first. But, so now they close out the regular season with 5 straight wins, 7 of their last 8. They're 20-9 overall, 12-6 in the ACC. They go from a 9 seed in the ACC tournament to a 5 seed by virtue of winning yesterday. Pretty amazing, I think, all things considered.
And just to add, the cherry on top is they prevented Louisville from getting a share of the ACC championship in the regular season.
Which is nice as well.
That's pretty sweet all by itself. You know what I mean? Because, the Louisville Notre Dame rivalry goes back a ways, and if you can prevent them from getting a little bit of hardware, it's an okay day as well. So
not bad.
I like it.
Not bad at all. Hidalgo goes for 30 with 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and 5 steals. Think about that line. 30 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 steals on the road, as you said, against probably your second biggest rival. UConn and Louisville would be the top 2.
Yeah.
1A, 1B, maybe, since they do play them twice a year. They play them so often, so at least one of your top rivals, and they're a top 10 team. And as you said, they had something to play for because Duke lost right before the team got to the arena. Duke lost to North Carolina, which meant that if Louisville won, they were going to get to claim a share of it. But didn't happen.
Not to be. And that was, that there was a lot on the line for Notre Dame, obviously. They're not playing for hardware, but they are playing for a seeding spot, which was huge for Notre Dame. To go from 9 to 5 is crazy. That's a huge jump on the last day of the regular
Well, there was
season.
a 5-way tie, don't forget.
Right. No, I know.
Between a
I
lot
know.
of
I'm just
teams, so-
but I'm just saying that's a lot that's on the line on the last day. That's all I'm saying. Like that
Absolutely.
there's not usually that much to happen on the last day. Everything's usually kind of in place. Maybe you're playing for, one spot higher or something like that, but there was a log jam right there at 11 wins in the ACC, and I didn't think Notre Dame was gonna be able to get to 12, and they did it in impressive fashion. Like they were challenged in just about every way possible in that game, right? I mean, for a good chunk of the game, Hidalgo had 3 or 4 fouls and was still able to do what she did at the end, ripping that steal on that last possession. Like that was, or not last, but close to last.
Let's just have this whatever shred of a player of the year conversation that anyone wants to have. To me,
come on.
After yesterday, there is zero debate now, and the votes had to be turned in. The ballots had to be turned in by noon today. I did mine yesterday. Spoiler alert. Yes, Hannah Hidalgo was at the top of my ballot, but there was all this talk. Was it Hidalgo? Was it going to be Toby Fournier from Duke? All this conversation coming up. Well, if those were allegedly the 2 top player of the year candidates, Fournier from Duke playing against their biggest rival, North Carolina, they were also on the road yesterday. Fournier had a chance at the end of the game with under 30 seconds. I can't remember exactly how much time was on the clock because it was right before I was leaving the hotel and I wanted to see how things were going to play out. Fournier had a chance at a layup, blew an wide open, easy layup. She missed it, and then right afterwards, she committed a foul and fouled out of the game with the game on the line at the end of the game, and they end up losing by 5 points. Well, Hidalgo picks up her 4th foul with like 8.5 minutes left in the game. Notre Dame is up. She stays in for a couple of minutes, but then she sits for a few minutes. That's when Louisville makes its run, and then Hidalgo comes back in with 4 fouls and then makes that play with that steal on Taj Roberts, Louisville's best player, with seconds ticking down, and Louisville with a chance, on their home court to win. Like, so if we're basing all this stuff on, who elevates their team, and like, there's no doubt that it's Hidalgo. Hidalgo is the best player in the ACC. And if you look at the ACC, if you were going to put the players into tiers, Hannah Hidalgo is a tier of her own. She sits at the top. That is it. It is Hidalgo at the top. And then there's about 5 or 6 players that are after her that are all fairly even. And then, then there's another, tier after that. But actually, it's like Hidalgo. Then there's a drop. And then there's that next tier of 5 or 6 players. That's what it is to me.
Well, and ever since that conversation started, if you want to call it a conversation, a debate, a clickbaity conversation, whatever, ever since that started, she's put up like 25, 27, 30. Like, she almost had a quadruple double the last couple of games. Like, I'm sorry, good players, great players make plays at the end of games. And as you said, Duke's best player was on the bench at the end of the game. Louisville's best player was getting the ball stolen from her by the best player in the league. So it's no debate whatsoever. Like, I'm great that you guys had a nice conversation about it on TV. I'm sure it made a great debate, but come on, no sane person is going to debate this with a straight face.
I'm still curious to see what the voting turns out, because the biggest argument that Kelly Gramlich on ACC Network and some others had, the biggest argument, if I can talk today, against Hidalgo was, well, how can you vote a player of the year for a team that's going to finish 8th or 9th in the rankings?
Well,
they're not 8th or 9th now. They're 5th.
Which was one spot away from a double bye, by the way. Like,
right.
They're knocking on the door of a double bye with what is not even really arguably a down year for Notre Dame.
Beat the 2 teams that are right in front of them as well.
Yeah.
North Carolina and North Carolina State. Well, actually, the 3 teams right in front of them: North Carolina State, and Louisville. Obviously, they split with Louisville, but they beat them at the end of the season. But it's a 5-game winning streak now, and she's averaged like 26.5 points during the win streak. Her rebounds are through the roof. Like when you look at that, like the fact that a 5'6" player is grabbing all these rebounds. She had another, double-double yesterday, a 30-point double-double. She almost had a 30-point triple-double last week against SMU. Obviously, the level of competition is a lot different when you're facing Louisville, but she's got 3 games this year with at least 30 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals. Rest of the country at the Division I level has combined for just 2 games with that stat line, and she's got 3 by herself. Yeah. It's just amazing.
Why are we even having this conversation? Like the ACC Player of the Year, my opinion, that was settled weeks ago, but I understand why people were having whatever. Now the conversation now is National Player of the Year. Like that's the conversation.
As well. Did you see the Marcus Freeman thing today?
I saw it, but I didn't have a chance to listen to it. I saw that there was a thing there with Marcus Freeman and women's basketball, but I didn't have a chance to listen to it.
You guys can talk about that tomorrow,
okay,
if you get a chance, you and Jesse. So I'll let you guys say that. Marcus, they're pulling in Marcus Freeman for a little hype on the Player of the Year. So I did a poll of 1. I polled 1 ACC coach to get their opinion on who should be the Player of the Year. It's Niele Ivey. Here's what she had to say.
Easy question. She's one of the best two-way players in our game. She values the defense side of the ball more so than the offensive side of the ball. Her leadership this year, her consistency all season long, scoring 44 points, having, multiple triple-doubles, having a game where she had 16 steals. There's nobody in the country that's having the performances that she has day in and day out. And again, I just think that with her being 5'6", the smallest person on the floor, she's fearless. She has broken every record, almost every record, a lot of the biggest records in Notre Dame history. And that speaks volumes of her and her talent. But it's the consistency that she's brought day in and day out. No matter who we're playing against, she's put up the best numbers, and she's the best two-way player in the country. So hands down, Hannah Hidalgo.
There you go. Best two-way player in the country.
I mean, obviously slightly biased, but I don't care. The stats back it up. The video backs, like throw in the film, watch her play. There's nobody that's better. I'm sorry. And she makes a great point to me in that she values the defensive side of the court more than the offensive side of the court, which is absolutely saying something because she can obviously put up points. And so if she's valuing defense more, wow. I mean,
and she turns because the defense turns into offense.
Absolutely.
Well. And like the heads up play yesterday after that steal
to not score
the ball at midcourt and then cuts underneath the basket. Bad description by me, by the way. Like I got just totally out of control, and it was like probably a C- for yesterday. But she races around to kill more clock. No, they're up by 1 point, knowing if she makes both free throws, it's still a one possession game. Yeah, that's right. And so she's trying to kill as much clock as possible. She was almost too fast because by the time she did this big loop, she kind of came back to where the players were. And it's like, okay, just slow down, stay over there, stay on the other side of the court, kill 2 more seconds. But only player in the country in the top 15 of both scoring and either steals or blocks. Also the only player in the ACC who's under 5'8", averaging more than 6 rebounds per game. So
there's a video out there, I'm sure people have seen it, but it's from the baseline where Notre Dame would play offense, right? So you're watching and you can see Hannah's eyes. And if you watch just her eyes, she is so focused on the basketball and on the other players' hips and what she's doing. Like the focus is just so intense. And then as soon as that basketball gets away just a little bit from the player, when she's making that turn from left to right, but backwards, man, she pounced on that ball so fast and was able to poke it free. I mean, the intensity of her face on that play was just that's who she is. That's what she does. You cannot put yourself in a position to be one-on-one with her in the backcourt like that. You can't do it because she's going to take the ball from you. You can't do it in a moment like that. You have to get rid of the basketball. You can't just sit there and dribble it because she's going to pick your pocket every time.
Yep. We will find out tomorrow what the who the player of the year is, who the defensive player of the year is, who the all the different the first team,
All
the
the big
second
ones.
team, all ACC. They're supposed to announce that tomorrow. We had to turn our ballots in by noon today, so
They're
we will,
tabulating. They're busy tabulating.
tabulations. That's
Looking
right.
for those hanging chads, all the ballot stuffing going on.
In terms of the NCAA resume, they are number 24 in the net ranking right now. 5 quad 1 wins, 3 quad 2 wins. They also jumped up to number 23 in the wins above the bubble metric. So they are.
Well, I mean, obviously that's not even a conversation anymore as to whether they're going to make the tournament. Thank goodness we can stop having that, which is great. I mean, and not only that, but like they could make a little bit of noise in the ACC tournament. Like they're going to. Personally, I think they're getting out of that 8-9 game. I don't think that's going to be an issue anymore. And so where do they fall? Where are you going to be traveling to? It's going to be an interesting conversation here moving forward, depending on what they do over the next couple of days.
Yeah, they've the latest bracketology, they've got them all the way up to a 6 seed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The projection is TCU, which
well, that's an interesting combination.
More interesting. Yeah, we can save
does.
that for a later day.
If it actually happens, yeah.
But I'll just take my victory lap, Vince, because it's not often that you get to take a victory lap.
Facts.
The world, everything was falling apart in early January when they lost back-to-back games against Georgia Tech and Duke, and there was all the, they're not going to make the tournament, and everything else, and what, like what I said at the start of the season was that Notre Dame would make the tournament, and I felt like they would because Hannah Hidalgo is the best player in the conference. And so even though they had this whole new team that was put together and there were a lot of things that, a lot of questions that had to be answered, that would mean something by the end of the season when you've got clearly the best player in the conference, which obviously we think they do. There were peaks and valleys and, like everything else, but, it wasn't always pretty. But at the end of the day, I said they'd still be a tournament team. Get to 10 wins, they got to 12. Get to 18 or so in the regular season, they're at 20. They're in great shape now. The metrics are there, and like that, again, I think people panicked, one because of Georgia Tech, but when they followed that with a loss to Duke, because Duke had a few losses at that point as well, I could tell watching that game against Duke in early January, like that was going to be a pretty good Duke team. I didn't, necessarily think that they'd rip off like 14 or 15 straight wins to open ACC play that they did, whichever it was. But at the same time, they won the regular season. I voted Carol Lawson coach of the year, but like they played and lost to 3 teams that are currently in the top 10 right now. Duke did. It was obvious that they were better than their record at that point. But again, I think a lot of people panicked because it's like, you lose to these teams, whatever. Look, they're here. They're going to be in the tournament. Just a matter of what seed it ends up being, and they can still build their resume with a little bit of a run at the ACC tournament now.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's going to be fun to watch. And now let me ask you this. Obviously, their tournament is over on Sunday with the championship game at 1:00. When do the women do their selection? Is it that Sunday or is
Same
it the
day as the
following?
men? Same day.
Okay, so they got to wait a week.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. That stinks. All right.
I know. We've got some Notre Dame men's conversation. We'll do that at the beginning of Rapid Fire. They picked up a nice win over NC State on Saturday. Is it the biggest win of the Micah Shrewsbury era? We will talk about that when we start off Rapid Fire with some more Notre Dame football talk as well. That is coming up in Rapid Fire, hour number 2, Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. All right, we roll into hour 2 with Professor Vince looking like he's mad at the world today.
Nah, just another day. This is the worst time of the year for schools. It's
Why
the
is that?
time. It's the time before spring break, obviously, and the time after President's Day. There's no days off. It's just straight crazy, and like teachers are on edge, kids are on edge. Like it's just awful. It's just awful.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Bobby, congratulations to Bobby. Oh,
I'd like to be a part of this.
I guess I should.
Well, I can hear you. That's enough.
in the
I don't know that
studio.
we don't need to see you. I could hear you.
I know.
Just fine.
Yeah.
Exactly. He had his first what would you call it? Someone
Girlfriend?
recognized him from the show for the first time when he was out
Whoa.
this weekend. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. And they said that you were mean to me, Vince, and they wanted to know why. They asked if we actually got along. Yeah, I didn't know how to reply either.
It started a long time ago. Like you were mean to me because I like Rudy. And
Well, yeah, I would still be mean to you.
Oh, that's right. That's the roots of this whole thing.
It
One of
is
the
the
best
root.
fantasy football movies there ever was.
I see what you did there.
I
Still a
saw
great
today
movie.
online on Facebook Marketplace, somebody was selling an autographed VHS copy of Rudy, and they were asking for $40.
It's probably my mom.
Is that fair or foul? $40 for an autographed VHS?
Well, I mean, you can ask for whatever you want.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Am I going to pay $40 for an autographed VHS? Like, odds are pretty low.
Yeah,
it
odds
didn't
are
look
very
like
low.
it was pristine either.
I have a autographed VHS, or at least I did when I was at my growing up house, my childhood home. I don't know where it is now, nor do I have a VHS player. So, it makes
Well,
things a little difficult.
I bought a DVD of an old ESPN show called Playmakers. It's a football show that they had on.
I remember that. Wasn't Michael Irvin in that for a while?
Yeah. And I bought the DVDs and I was like, oh, do I even have a DVD player anymore? So VHS is even.
I bet you got a PS5 or something.
Yeah, digital only PS5.
Oh, well.
Look at you fancy guys with your video gamer talk.
Yeah, well, I got sucked in when they came back out with the college football game a couple years ago. Like that, it sucked me right on in, and that's all I've ever bought. So
Just waiting for them to come out with a college basketball game again, huh?
yeah, man, I love the college stuff. And of course, I bought like a couple year old like MLB baseball, so it was like $5.
Well, they don't change ever.
Correct.
It's
It's
the
just
same
a
game every
roster.
year.
It doesn't really matter. So like, yeah. So I'm on a budget.
Speaking of basketball, Notre Dame men upset North Carolina State 96-90 in overtime.
I brought that up on
Saturday.
purpose.
See what you did there.
Don't accuse yourself of thinking, Bobby.
I did once.
Is that the biggest win of the Shrewsbury era at Notre Dame, Vince?
It might be. I'm trying to think of like another big win. My father-in-law was at the game. He said it was the best game he's seen in the last few years. Just from a crowd standpoint, from an excitement standpoint, like all of the above. He usually goes there with very low expectations, and those expectations are usually met. And so this, and I watched it on TV. I watched the whole game on TV. The crowd was fired up. Like I don't know where the crowd came from. It was obviously senior night. It was a heck of a ball game, and they battled, and they ended up I was shocked that they won that game. Shocked.
Well, it's like you say, not only did they battle, but they were down close to the end, and I was expecting the team to go in the tank and end up losing by double digits. So the fact that I guess he held on to the team makes it I think any win he has at this point is his biggest win, because this season has just been and I know he's without his stars and health has been an issue.
Still a disappointment.
How many times are
Very
you going to say that? Are you going to say that every week, Bobby?
Yeah, because you yelled at me once for not bringing it up. So I'm reciting your words back.
Now he's
to you.
going to yell at you for bringing it up. So
Yeah. Well, I just want him to hear how annoying he is in my head.
I have to check this token box. They are without their star players. I have to make sure and say that every time.
But especially for a noon tip-off.
But they did have Jalen Harrelson
Yeah.
back, so that feels significant.
it
well,
was
especially
towards
when he
the end
goes for
too.
25 points. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he hits 2 free throws to get it to overtime. Because, like, to your point, yeah, they were trailing. They never led in regulation at any point. Then Harrelson hits the free throws, gets them to overtime, actually. And lo and behold, they end up winning in another monster game for Serta. It just feels like, like they could have cashed it in easily.
Oh, yeah.
Harrelson easily could have said, why do I want to come back and play again? Why do I want to risk any further injury? Yeah. Sure. He comes back. He plays a huge part. NC State was in a, they're going to the ACC tournament. There's no doubt that NC State's going to be in the ACC tournament, but for everything that Notre Dame did or didn't have to play for, the bar is the only other ones I could come up with. They beat Oklahoma State a couple years ago in Brooklyn. They beaten Virginia a couple times, but they weren't great, Virginia teams of the past. I think this probably has to be it in terms of, because they've still somehow, after losing to Pitt a couple of weeks ago and getting their doors rocked off by Duke last week, they still have a chance to get into the ACC tournament.
I mean, they're on the outside looking in, I believe, at the moment. And so they're going to have to win a couple of these games, at least one of the 2 games that they've got left. They got Stanford at home, and then they've got Boston College on the road, I do believe. And, what that means is Stanford is 7-9, so they're just above where Notre Dame's at. And Boston College is terrible. They're below Notre Dame. So they could go 1-1, and depending on what Pitt does, I mean, Pitt has Syracuse and Florida State left. And Syracuse,
really, it's pretty even in terms of who they're playing.
Yeah. The problem is they got to win more than Pitt does because Pitt has the tiebreaker. Right. So the odds still aren't good.
0-2, and Notre Dame has to win 1, or
1.
Pitt has to win.
Right.
Pitt has to win 1, and Notre Dame has to win 2. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't. Let's just put it this way: I'm not betting the mortgage that Notre Dame's going to make the ACC tournament. But hey, we said Notre Dame would be a bubble team this year. Just didn't realize it would be for the conference tournament.
Bubble.
Yeah.
I was just that's exactly what I was gonna say. We talked about them being on the bubble, but now we're thinking, oh, they have a outside shot, as you said, Vince, to even make the ACC tournament.
And all they got to do is win it, and then they're in the regular tournament. Come on, man! You're saying that's the
champions.
Let's go. Let's go.
Crazier things have never happened.
Yeah, and it won't, but that's okay.
Right. No, I guess it's good that he can keep that team together, though, and that they are playing for him, because I wouldn't have expected that. I honestly put the game on like you, Vince. I was watching it, and I didn't expect anything. Then they were down, and I go, oh, here we go. Let's turn another Duke game. Let's see how many they lose by. And
I mean, noon on a Saturday, just throw it on like there's nothing else going on, that kind of a thing. That was my thought process.
Yep, mine too, Bridget, to something better to watch later.
Ended up being a great game. So
it did.
Awesome.
And especially, then they go to overtime, and then overtime they looked really good there. So it's like they got better as the game went on. Maybe that's what they're doing as the season goes on. So let them make that ACC tournament. See how many wins they can get.
They're going on a run, baby.
Yeah, they might even make the NIT. I'm joking.
They've played plenty of overtime games this season and lost, so it feels like winning is good. Winning is good.
Listen, you take whatever positivity that you can get at this point in a season like this. We have all been associated with teams that aren't good, right? We all have, and especially when you get to this point in the year, you'll take whatever positivity that you can get, and this was a huge positive for Notre Dame, and it was on senior night, so. You got that going for you. The seniors will be able to say they won their last game. Well, it's not really their last game, but they won their senior night.
Anyway.
No, they got another one.
Oh, that's right.
On Wednesday.
Stanford, it's like that whole Stanford thing had me confused. I had to do a double check of the schedule because of the trip to Cal and Stanford. And then Stanford also has this one-off game at Notre Dame later on. Yeah, very weird.
It's weird, and that Wednesday game is at 9:00, so I can understand why they didn't do senior night on Wednesday at 9:00 because it's probably going to be a ghost town in the Joy Center. So Saturday made a lot more sense. There was a lot more people in the stands.
By the way, I thought about this afterwards. NC State at Notre Dame, football lost, women's basketball lost, and men's basketball lost. all in this academic year.
That's tough for the Wolfpack right there.
It is tough for the Wolfpack. Good for the Irish, though. Whose NFL Combine 40 time was the most important? Jeremiyah Love's 4.36, Jadarian Price's 4.49, or Malachi Fields' 4.61?
I'm going to go Malachi Fields because it was nowhere near what he wanted it to be. And so I know that's kind of taking a negative slant on the whole thing. I knew that the other two guys were fast, and they said that they showed that they were fast, even though Jadarian, I think, can go faster. But Malachi Fields, I think, was disappointing. And I think that was the most important.
Well, I rolled my eyes pretty hard because that's exactly. I was like, oh, they'll say something good about Love, and I'll bring up that importance kind of doesn't mean positive. And that's exactly what I was going to say. I think it's impressive.
Bobby thought he had his counter take ready to go there, but you knocked him off his pedestal right away. Well done.
Yeah, I think it's cool that Love ran a good time. I think we all expected it. I think in the first hour, Sean, you said a term that made me laugh. It was what you call the underwear Olympics.
Yes.
I have never heard that. So that's
You've never heard it called that before?
No,
I
kidding.
haven't. Yeah. So that blinded me to all of it. That's the most important thing to come out of the combine is having Sean talk about the underwear Olympics.
That's awesome.
You say that out of context, nobody will know what you're talking about.
That's true.
But no, I agree. Actually, I'm going to double down with what you said about Fields because is it okay to say disappointing? Even I think that you just want to go to the combine, have a good showing, at least maintain where you are, and that was almost a mark against him. You guys have gone over it already in the first hour about how he's had a chance to have Carr throw him some balls and run at the pro day and hopefully, get back on the side of good. But I think that one was the most important. I think that Love running was silly to begin with and Price is in the middle. So I think everything is as expected. Just, man, Fields hurt himself. That's more important than the other two solidifying themselves as quick.
I think so too, because I think that maybe he still has a chance to go late in the first round, but it feels like a 40 time, because there is still film, but at the end of the day, kind of needs speed at that receiver position. He does a lot of other things pretty well. He had a decent combine, not a great combine. Again, he'll have chances at the pro day and stuff like that, but it still feels like what happens at the pro day sticks with guys more, or not at the pro day, at the combine sticks with guys more than what happens at the pro day. And it just feels like a 40 time like that could be the thing that probably keeps Fields in the second round instead of potentially moving into the first round. So I think that's ultimately going to be the most important / impactful of the 340 times,
which will hurt his paycheck. And then also if he's in the second round, he might be hired and go into a worse team, which could hurt his career.
Right.
So I think that's doubly important to him.
After Jeremiyah Love's big NFL Combine workout, Stacey Dales asked him on the NFL Network what NFL teams talked with him about during his one-on-one meetings with him. Here's what he said.
Yeah, so, a lot of coaches, they watch the film, they see the film, and we talk about blocking schemes and how I progress through the blocking and stuff like that, but most of the meetings were just about me as a person. They wanted to get to know me more off the field and just what motivated me and what drove me to just come this far.
Okay, so first, any thoughts on that, guys?
It's honest, and I think not surprising, because with a guy like Jeremiyah Love, you don't need to ask him about football. Like that's if you're worth your salt in football evaluation, you can evaluate him as a player. You need to evaluate him as a person, and so I think that's spot on.
I think when you talk about Notre Dame guys, it's a little bit different too, because by and large, they have the reputation of being more articulate, more, well-centered than a lot of the other kids coming out. Less trouble out of the university. They seem like they have good leadership. So, you got to get to know the person. But I think that getting to know somebody, and you're talking about a Notre Dame man, that's a little bit different than some of the other places.
I think it's interesting just because, we don't get to be in those meetings, but like the interview that he did with Stacey Dales and some of the other media that he's done. I mean, when we get to talk to these guys when they're at Notre Dame, very few of them really show, I think, their true personality. There are some outliers who do, especially when you're talking in post-game situations and, leading up to a game. You're just going to get a lot more vanilla generic stuff because no one wants to go out on a limb. I do feel like we've gotten to see a lot more of Jeremiyah Love's real personality. And he seems pretty relaxed during this whole process. And I think that has to stand out to some of these teams as well.
I think part of that's just accessibility. He's a star, so he's been out there. He's interviewed more. And I mean, I think everybody knows at this point, but if you're going to be a star at a university, you get media coach to begin with so that you shield away some of that personality to give your media answer that's kind of boring, but that you'll never look bad doing it. I think you get more personality out of losses from players sometimes when you see them hurting or angry than you do in the wins where they're like, yeah, that was cool, we're going to go on to the next one. When they lose, sometimes you see them getting real angry and holding people accountable.
And sometimes they just get, really upset and don't want to talk about much.
Quiet, or you don't get any
answers.
Yeah, you don't get any player availability.
That's right. So if you guys were an NFL general manager, what would you want to ask a player in these meetings?
This is actually something that, I've talked in the past about how I'd love to be in a war room, for an NFL draft and stuff like that. That extends really to these interviews and things like that as well. So I've actually thought about this in the past. Again, I feel like we can, me and my team, we can evaluate football talent, right? Not only am I going to watch your film, not only am I going to obviously watch you at the combine, but I'm also going to talk to your coaches. I'm going to talk to guys that have coached against you, things like that. And so by the time we get into this kind of a situation, I want to know who you are as a person. I want to know about your work ethic. I want to know what happens when we're not paying attention to you. So my question would be, why should a veteran in our locker room, in an NFL locker room, why should a veteran trust you? And let them take that which direction they want to go.
I think that's a really good one because especially when you're walking in the door as a rookie and in Jeremiyah Love's case, a rookie who's going to be drafted high in the first round.
Right.
There's a lot of guys who have been making this their livelihood for a long time who are going to be relying on you. And I think that's the answer to that question is going to be very important. I like that, Vince.
Thank you.
Oh, that is pretty good. Now I'm thinking about it.
I think I made you speechless twice today. This is a red letter day.
Well, go ahead and
Vince, you do make speeches.
Go ahead and give yourself a ding. I don't know. This question's hard for me because I want to ask something like you say. I already know the football of you. We all have seen your tape. We all know your stats. We all can do all the combine. I want to ask you a question that would throw you off almost, something you wouldn't expect.
Yep.
So I can see how you can react in that kind of world. And I don't know the perfect question to ask that.
And the problem is we've heard the worst case scenario, those kind of questions that have come up in combines and they make splash headlines and stuff like that.
Right.
You want one that's a little bit, off skew, but at the same time, you do have to be careful, I think.
Yeah.
So mine would either be, I have two and I couldn't decide. One would be, what's the worst adversity you've had to overcome and how did you do it? So I can hear a little bit more about something negative and how you could make it into a positive or how you came back from it, because obviously you're going to be a top pick. You're doing well now. And then the other one would be, what's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten and who gave it to you? So you can kind of learn a little bit more into the inside of who they listen to, who's influenced them, something like that. Again, not as good as Vince is, but
but I like
good though. No, that's good. I like the fact that you want to try to branch out and kind of keep them uncomfortable and and things like that. Absolutely. I don't want to steal any of Sean's thunder, so I'm gonna let you answer, Sean, before I kind of give you my second place question.
Okay, I do like the adversity aspect there though, because most of these guys who have gotten to this point have. It's not that they've never had hurdles to clear, but it feels like the hurdles are probably lower than the average person because they are
their ability.
They're like the top, 1% or whatever.
You get to know what they think adversity is as well, because maybe they haven't had any.
Right. I mean, some of them there's probably injuries that they've had to overcome and different things like that. I think my question would be, like Jeremiyah Love talked about these guys wanting to get to know him. And I think mine would just be, tell me about your best friend. Like what do you like about, whoever your best friend is, like tell me about
like
them,
that.
what you like about them. And then I might also ask, on the other hand, like who's the person that you dislike the most and why
Yeah.
is that person the person that you dislike the most? And just hearing, like maybe who those people are and the whys of both and the detail that they could share about both.
That's actually really, really good because I tell kids all the time, and I've told my kids all the time, you're only as good as the people you hang out with. And so like that question is like right there, point on, like, why do you hang out with this person? Like, how does this person better you? How does this person make you a better person? Like, I think that's a really, really, really good question to ask because I do think it's true. You are a piece of the puzzle and your puzzle is all around you. And if it's not a good fit, man, you can't force it. And yeah,
you're right. And exactly. It sounds cliche, but your vibe attracts your tribe. But you're going to be a millionaire and all these people are going to be hanging off.
Oh, yeah.
So who are you going to be true to? Like, why are you true to them? How did you get to know them? How long have they been your best friend?
Sure.
I think those are all, like, I always think of it this way when I read the questions in the email Sean sends out in the morning. And I think, like, what would Johnny Manziel, what was he asked? Maybe that we could have seen, maybe how he wasn't.
There had to be red flags galore.
Oh my gosh, everywhere,
interviews, man.
Or even in last year, why did Shadir drop so far, even though he looked good on tape? I mean, not great, but not fifth round.
He looked good-ish. Yeah.
Better than fifth round draft pick. So I was trying to think of what might, and that's a good question, Sean, that you could maybe see a lot into someone with that.
I didn't think specifically towards Jeremiyah Love, but like something I would ask him would be like, tell me about the comic book that you made and why. Like, you know what I mean? Just to kind of make it personal towards him because it's supposed to be hit like the superhero version of him. I would ask him about his comic book.
Do you ask now? Here's another. I know. Well, do you ask everybody the same kind of question to compare answers, or do you go specific to the player, like you just said?
Have you ever like? And I'm not. This isn't a slight. I'm just asking. Like, have you ever conducted interviews? Like, if you're trying to hire somebody?
Yeah, we have a couple times.
Yeah, so we usually, whenever we do it, we usually have like a list of questions that you ask. That way, it's an easy. You're comparing A to B to C. And it's all the same, and you kind of see how. But then I also think that you do need to have some questions that come off of those answers. You've got to, if you're a good interviewer, then like Sean's a great interviewer when he's interviewing somebody on the show. Like you have set questions, but based on their answers, you ask follow-up questions. I think the same thing counts in a job interview, which is what these are.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's a job interview. Yeah, we usually have a list of questions, and like you say, like it's a short list, and then if there's stuff that comes out of it, you can go into. But I like that you like the comic book. I just think that would be really great to ask him because, I mean, you're almost asking him to just brag on himself. So then you can also see how cocky he'd be, and I think that that's valuable as well.
And from a Jeremiyah Love standpoint, that also tells me, well, these guys are interested in me. They did their homework. Like they know that this exists in my life. I think that's important too,
more than just cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Questions. Yeah. They've actually paid attention to what's going on with this guy. Right. Okay. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, more rapid fire, including some more combine stuff. Carson Beckett sounds like had an interesting weekend in Indianapolis. We'll talk about that and more when we return. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com and Rapid Fire. We continue with Rapid Fire on Budweiser's weekday sports beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Had a lot of NFL draft combine talk earlier in the show. Jeremiyah Love talked about Notre Dame women's basketball knocking off Louisville yesterday, getting ready for the ACC tournament. Their first round game is Thursday, 1:30 against either Miami or Stanford. Those two teams play Wednesday, and then we will have it right here on the Notre Dame Radio Network and Sports Radio WSBT. Some more combine talk. Fill in the blank. Indiana fans booing former Miami quarterback Carson Beck at the NFL Combine is blank.
Freaking awesome. Like, I'm all about it. I think that's great. You're never going to lose. Like, you'll never lose your lead. It's like why I can't stand the Bears quarterback because he went to USC. Like, I will never lose my college allegiance when I'm watching NFL stuff. So, and I won't say his name. So that there you go. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. They won. They get the spoils, and you get to get booed if you're Carson Beck.
See, that's exactly it, though. They won. So I think it's almost overkill. They already took his championship away from him.
Take his soul, too.
I think you talked last segment, we talked about the interviews. I don't think he's going to ace those. I think he kind of comes off as a
prick.
I'm trying to think. Can I say that?
I did.
I think he comes off as a bag of something that starts with a D. That
not going there.
They no. Douche.
Well, you could have said D-bag, and then you just went there. Okay. Now we've got like
we all knew what you meant.
Like, you can find me. Take away all my pay from the show today.
Put down your spiked Mountain Dews before you show up.
I wish I had some.
What are you doing?
Anyway, no, I think it's overkill. The guy lost. He doesn't have a great resume. He's not going to do well in the pros. Just let him have his combine and go away in peace. Because now he's actually coming back up in the news, and it's because he got booed. If you just left him alone, we would have forgot he was even there.
This would actually be hilarious if Chris Ballard's time he says Chris Ballard will draft Beck. That would be pretty funny if that happened. I doubt it, but it would be hilarious. I just you won the game. Like I just why did it, see this is the Indiana fan, Vince.
Oh, for sure.
Like this is. You won the game. You're the national champions. You still have to boo the guy at the freaking combine in downtown Indianapolis. I couldn't. And I heard some people trying to rope Notre Dame fans in there as well. Okay, so 12 Notre Dame fans were in there because Jeremiyah Love was running. And
it wasn't Notre Dame fans that were booing.
No, it wasn't. It's not like Notre Dame fans congregate in Indianapolis. I think there's a misperception nationally because Notre Dame is in Indiana, like that somehow connects Indiana to Notre Dame. It couldn't be, further from the truth, in outside of this area, obviously. But it was Indiana fans and just raining boos down. Like I've never heard of a guy being booed at the combine. And
at the combine,
it might have been the first time a guy got booed at the combine. It's hilarious, really. But it's like, why do you have to be like? I can see Vince being in on it though, like petty Vince, like there. Like he'd be right there. If Vince was there, he would have been standing up, in his $1,000 suite down there at field level doing Carson Beck.
Yeah, the one next to Pat McAfee.
Yes.
Yeah, I would not have been wearing my IU garb. That's for sure. But IU fans are they're taking advantage of the fact that their football team is really good right now, and they won a national championship. They are going to suck every amount of whatever they can out of this moment because they don't know when they're going to get it back. And so, you know what? I'm here for it.
That's exactly right. They're new to winning. They're not used to it. I mean, last year they lost to a team in the playoffs. I think it was Notre Dame, maybe.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
I know.
Given it that.
It's that whole, when you score a touchdown, like pretend like you've been there before. IU fans have never been there. They don't know what it's like. So they're just going to react now. They're going to do their little touchdown dance and, all off season, and more power to them. They're number one. They won it all. Go ahead. Do your dance.
And boo somebody at the combine. I've just never even heard of that. Mostly the people at the combine I thought were like families, like with people bringing their kids to watch them run in the underwear Olympics.
That sounds awful. My kids would disown me if I did that.
If you start booing somebody in the combine?
No, if I took my kids to the combine, that's what. I would.
There you go. Maybe you have a reason to go, so now you can rain booze down upon someone.
Listen, I would boo Carson Beck on the street. I don't have to be at the combine. Okay. If I saw him across the street, I'm boo.
I don't know what he did to even make himself a pro prospect. So he's just wasting time in the stadium to begin with. So I'm okay with booze. I just think it's a little overkill coming from the IU fans that already
it's
won.
Absolutely overkill. That's why
I mean, honestly, shouldn't Miami fans have been booing the guy?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Miami fans were smart enough not to go to the combine. That's the thing. That's the difference.
I think so.
Miami fans are fair weathered anyway.
Fill in the blank. It's blank that Sonny Styles' mom says the former Ohio State linebacker got his nickname from Sonny Corleone from The Godfather because of his quick temper.
Ooh, interesting. I would say that's spot on then. I appreciate the family's love of cinema because I think that's a great reason to have a nickname. I love it. I'm here for it.
Quick temper. I mean, that nowadays you got to be careful with that accusation, though.
That's fine, but he's a football player. Have your temper on the field. Let's go.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a linebacker for that matter. Don't you want kind of a quick-tempered linebacker?
Those guys are angry.
I never knew this origin story. They were talking to mom in the stands, and his dad obviously played in the NFL. Lorenzo Sr. played linebacker himself, and apparently this was like when they were really young, like when he and Lorenzo would be playing, and Lorenzo did something, he would just like go off. And so they started calling him Sonny. So I thought that was pretty cool. I never realized that, it's like, I just thought his name was Sonny. I didn't realize it actually came from The Godfather. So
did you see that picture of Dad with the two, with his two sons? Like, and I think it was probably at an Ohio State practice. Holy crap, Dad is put together.
Oh yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
There's
no doubt about that.
Sons.
So you think that
good genes?
You think that's a better way to get the name Sonny than having it be from an old man that drafts people in draft day?
It could be from an orange drink.
Well, that's a delight.
Have you guys ever given someone a nickname that came from a movie, or have you ever had a nickname that came from a movie?
I call people Smalls all the time.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
You're killing me, Smalls. I do that all the time.
Sandlot. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I oftentimes get called Bobby Boucher because of the Water Boy.
I can see that.
I could definitely see that.
I can see
the parallels are striking.
In high school,
he's way smarter than me.
In high school, this guy came out of nowhere. This was after Risky Business, and it wasn't Tom Cruise. This guy started calling me Guido the Killer Pimp for some reason. It didn't stick. It was like isolated to this one guy in like English class or something.
Well, it stuck
like
with you. Damn, this show's kind of gone off the rails today a little bit.
When I was younger, people used to call me Barbarino because I was
Vinny Barbarino.
I was Vinny back in the day. Like most people wouldn't even get that reference these days, but people would call me. There was like I can't remember who it was, but it was a very select few people. They would call me that. So
Barbarino. I haven't heard a Barbarino reference in a long time.
Sweat Hogs, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, he had great hair.
Mr. Cate. That's right. Neither one of us have that, Bobby. So
that's why we wear hats, Sean.
That's right. That's exactly right. Former Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl said on TV this weekend that 29-0 Miami, Ohio has to win its conference tournament to guarantee itself a spot in the big dance if the goal is for the selection committee to get the 68 best teams. Do you buy or sell that?
It's a huge sell. That's a huge sell. Like, come on. Going undefeated, I don't care what level you're on. Going undefeated is difficult, okay? Now, I have not analyzed Miami of Ohio's schedule, but they are a D1 program. They're undefeated. They're playing good basketball. They belong in the tournament. I don't care what happens in their conference tournament. They'll probably go out and win their conference tournament, so it's probably a moot point. But that is such a bad take by him. That's such a bad take. I'm sorry. They belong in the tournament.
As a MAC guy, I love the MAC. I follow the MAC. I don't know that they have a resume if they don't win the conference championship. Their biggest wins would probably be Old Dominion in the first game of the year, or maybe UNC Greensboro. They played a couple teams that aren't even in Division I, obviously. They played everybody bad. They played Maine, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Mercyhurst, Trinity Christian. Air Force, that might be their biggest game. They've been struggling down the stretch in some MAC games. They played back-to-back overtime games a couple weeks ago. This past weekend, they barely won on a buzzer beater against Western Michigan, who's really bad. And their coach is actually fined for knocking over a speaker going to halftime. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, he got fined $2,500. So I don't know what their resume is if they don't win their conference championship. Because if you took a blind resume and said your key wins are nobody in the top 200, how do you advocate putting them in?
But let's say they run the table in the regular season and then lose, like losing the quarterfinals or the semifinals of the MAC tournament. So they've got one loss. Are they now not deserving? Like, if,
of course,
they're the number 19 team in the country right now.
Right.
You can't say that they're the number 19 team in the country and then say that they don't belong in the tournament.
I mean, it's fair to say they haven't played a Power 4 opponent, of any kind. As Bobby says, they haven't necessarily challenged themselves. Now, the other side of this with Bruce Pearl is he's also trying to make an argument for his
team
son.
There we go.
The team that he used to coach, Auburn, his son coaches them now, and they are squarely on the bubble. So this is obviously part of his argument, arguing for not just his son, but another Power 4, very average Power 4 team, and trying to make the case that this, average Power 4 team is more deserving than a mid-major program that maybe ends up with one loss. And I just like, the tournament is supposed to be for teams like Miami, Ohio,
yes,
if we can't get them after the kind of season that they've had, if we can't get them a spot in the tournament, even if it's a play-in game, then why are we even bothering with these teams at the tail end of the selection?
Well, I see that you're talking about the rankings and where they're ranked. I think the rankings don't hold water necessarily. You can't have an undefeated team and not rank them, but if they lost one game, they're going to drop so far down. So I don't know. I don't see anything about this Miami, Ohio roster and the way that they're putting games away. They're not all blowouts. They're close in the MAC. They're going to trip and fall.
Doesn't that make you a good team if you can win close games?
But you wouldn't want to see them as a 12 seed or a 13 seed or even a 14 seed with a chance to pull off an upset or two on the first couple days of the tournament. Like, that's what the first 4 days of the tournament are about, for like having a team like this and giving them a shot and seeing what they can do against some of these bigger programs.
Yeah, I just want them to go ahead, win the MAC tournament, then you can go in, and then there's no drama. I just don't want that league getting 2 bids because they just don't deserve it. Like, you can't have a team that loses in the tournament and so you bogarts their whole season.
You'd rather have an around 500 Power 4 program, like a 9th or 10th place team in whatever Power 4 conference. You'd rather have that in as opposed to an extra mid-major that lost one game and didn't win their conference tournament.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because I think, but if they get a couple upsets, you're already saying, oh, well, then the Sweet 16 they're going to lose. Whereas if you get somebody from a mid or from a major conference that's mid in their conference, they might win another game and go even further. Then you get more upsets.
Just go to Indianapolis, Bobby, because you're being booed on this show right now.
I mean,
Teddy and Tommy have turned on Bobby. So
not only they turned, I think that's where they already were.
If you've been wanting more Colin Cowherd, have I got good news for you?
Oh boy.
Fox Sports has announced Sports AI with Colin Cowherd in its Fox Sports app. You log into the app, you can ask it a question like, how's a quarterback's recent playoff affects his long-term value? And Colin Cowherd's AI voice will spit out an answer back at you. According to Fox, it is built on years of takes from the herd and powered by real-time data. It delivers answers in Colin's voice. So what do you guys think about this?
This is easy for me. It's probably going to be more entertaining than actually listening to Colin Cowherd, the human, because it's backed by actual facts. So, I mean,
that's true. You're actually putting real facts into the voice who like the actual brain doesn't actually care about real facts. It just spits out whatever.
The AI doesn't care about clicks. It just cares about facts. And so I think I'd listen to AI Colin Cowherd more than I would regular.
Now it's supposed to be based on his years and years of takes, so it's like so
there's gonna be some bad ones in
kind
there.
of take. Yeah. That
Oh man, this is awful. What's worse than a live Colin Cowherd is an AI Colin Cowherd. I guess why would you keep asking it? Because you know what you're gonna get. I feel like you're just tempting it to try and say something, but you know it won't be good, and you're not gonna like the answer, and then it's all based. Even the AI one's gonna be based for clicks, because that's the whole point of having it on their apps. Now you go to their app, now they already got your click. I
guess it. So you're well. It wasn't a buy or sell question, but
you're
selling.
I would sell Colin Cowherd.
This is Bobby's world. We're all just living in it.
Well, I mean, you know that I'd sell
on
Cowherd. Is there anyone else's voice, like other personalities, who you would want to like go into an app and get takes like this? You know, whatever sports takes, information, whatever it happens to be.
You know, I think Dan Patrick usually has decent takes. I think he, especially as he gets up in age, I feel like he listens to some other people and makes some educated takes. And so I would listen to an AI Dan Patrick. I think he could do it.
Yeah, he's above the noise usually, so I think that would make sense.
Christopher Walken. I don't know what kind of sports takes Chris Walken might have.
I mean, this is going to sound bad and it'll bring everybody's down, but I would love to hear more AI like Stuart Scott with current sports stuff. Get some booyahs in there.
You just want him to do the highlights of the sports.
Yeah,
that's what you
true.
want. You want AI Stuart Scott to do highlights.
Yeah, but I'd like to.
And now remember, they did something like that with Al Michaels during the Summer Olympics a couple years ago in the Peacock app. They were doing some kind of. Well, it wasn't this, but it was AI Al Michaels' voice doing intros for these different Olympic events and stuff like that in the Peacock app. They were doing something like that. Howard Cosell, Joe says that's actually a pretty good one. Like if you went back and did like classic, John Madden would be awesome for NFL, and even Chris Berman. It feels like ESPN could dial back a few years and get like vintage Chris Berman from like the late 90s voice and, you know, do Chris Berman takes and stuff like that. I think of the ESPN guys, I might go Kornheiser, but I have a feeling that he might not appreciate, you know, his voice
being
an
AI version of himself.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't want Wilbon. I wouldn't want Stephen A. I'm trying to think of like ones. I think Bill Simmons could be interesting. He's got much more rational takes than Colin Cowherd, for example.
What about your boy?
Lean more towards Patriots, Red Sox.
What about your boy from Dallas who always has the Jordans on and whatnot? I can't think of his name. He's controversial. He does all the first take type stuff. But he's originally from Dallas. He was in
Skip Bayless.
Oh, there you go. You love Skip, don't you?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he broke the SMU story. That's how he got his big break. If you're talking about AI, there's just a lot of I guess I do think of it more like highlights, but having Keith Jackson, like Willow Nelly's,
like Keith Jackson, Howard Cosell, and John Madden. I think those would be like three vintage voices. Musburger, for that matter. I think Musburger could be good. But again, I think you'd have to go back and find like the vintage, like prime voice for those guys.
I think Simon says Harry Carey would be a great one for baseball.
I just think I want those guys to call games. Like, give me some AI, them calling games. Like, Keith Jackson calling a big college football game, or that. Let's see how that works. I'm sure someday we'll get to that, but
that's actually kind of scary. I don't think that's too far in the
future.
Know
it's not. It's probably not.
It's probably going to start happening where you just replace actual announcers with AI.
That can be your second stream option you always want, Sean.
Yeah, there you go.
You can pay an extra little fee on Peacock, and then you can have John Madden calling Sunday Night Football.
There you go. All right, I got one cut that I'm going to play here. This is Sal Licata, and Sal is a New York sports personality. Can I find it? There it is. We're going to have to get through this relatively quickly. He is a New York radio and TV host. He's also a contributor on the SI Sports Media podcast. He had an interesting take on greeting cards.
$10 for a greeting card. That's obscene. $10? All right, $10 not the end of the world, but $10 for that? I just feel like we're overpaying for greeting cards.
But are you getting the dolled up ones?
It didn't seem that dolled up to me. I mean, it was a nice saying, but $10 worth?
So nothing on, no insert, no like little flower.
No pin that says I turned 70 today. No
Frankie Valli when you open it up.
No singing in the card. No special card. Like $5, all right. I mean, they used to be $2.
Greeting cards, in or out? Are you in or out on what he's saying? Like greeting cards, complete waste of money at this point.
I don't know how this came up as a topic of conversation, but I have some deep thoughts on greeting cards. They are the biggest ripoff out there. That is why I will never buy a greeting card that is not in the 2 for $1 section at the dollar store. That's where I get my greeting cards. They say the same stuff that the $10 ones do, and I will never spend $10 on a greeting card. That is ridiculous. Here's how a greeting card works.
Thick, they're not quite as fancy, but
who cares? They open it.
Go ahead, Vince. Go ahead. I cut you off.
No, you're good. You open the envelope. You destroy the envelope, by the way. The envelope is now gone. You open up the card. The person reads it. Maybe you pass it around the table. That's a controversial act there. They pass it around the table. And that's it. You never look at the card again. Why are you spending money on it?
Right out, flush it down the toilet. You might as well.
What are we doing?
They're worthless. And then they turn into a guilt trip. Like, are you supposed to get somebody else a greeting card now because they got you one? And like you said, now I got to throw it away. And I almost feel bad because they put it, hopefully they wrote something in it and it's a sentiment. And now I just feel guilty throwing it away.
And you would think that greeting cards would want to be like, keep their prices reasonable. They keep jacking them up. Like he's saying $10 for some of these things, $8, $7 is not out the window. And you're absolutely right. It's like, go to the dollar section. And that's where I hate like Valentine's and birthday cards and anniversary cards. They just hit you with it. It's like, nobody cares about it. It's going in the trash 5 minutes.
And you can get it. You can do it for free. Just write like a nice text or get a printout on a computer. You don't even need to buy anything.
I don't mind buying the card, but I'm not spending that kind of money on it. I'm telling John says I buy the dollar greeting cards. No, you're wrong, John. I buy the 50-cent cards. 2 for $1 at the dollar store. That's where I get my greeting cards.
If like I tried early on in the relationship on doing the, like make your own card because, it's like the sentiment, and it didn't go over well. So like turns out, bringing home a piece of paper from the printer at work and, like make it, that's not a good idea. So like, don't go that cheap, but the dollar store, it's like, you're still making the effort.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're saving the family a few dollars. Like that's the angle you got to take.
It's about what you write in the card. That's where it matters. That's what I do. I write a nice long.
The homemade card would go over well, but
it does. Sometimes I do throw in the homemade card and it's appreciated, but it's about the paragraph you're writing in there. That's where you make your money, folks.
I agree.
Yeah, you give it and then you just don't even like. You're just happy it's out of your hands. You don't really.
All right, we got to go, Bobby. Good to see you. Vince, good to see you. Vince and Jesse tomorrow. I'll be back on Wednesday, and we'll have an interesting rest of the week with the ACC tournament going on. We will talk to you then, though. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com.